Along the Mississippi River, 6 miles from present-day St. Louis, Missouri, there stood a city that once dominated the heart of the continent. At its center was a powerful leader.
A great number of years ago, there appeared among us a man who came down from the sun. This man told us that he had seen from on high that we did not govern ourselves well, that we had no master, that each of us had presumption enough to think himself capable of governing others, while he could not even conduct himself.
1,000 years ago, the great sun, a leader who was both king and pope, lived atop a man-made royal mountain 10 stories high. Its 16-acre base larger than any pyramid in Egypt.
He told us that in order to live in peace among ourselves, we must observe the following points. We must never kill anyone but in defense of our own lives. We must never know any woman besides our own. We must never take any things that belong to another. We must never lie, nor get drunk. We must not be avaricious. We must give generously and with joy, and share our subsistence with those who are in need of it.
From the heights of his royal estate, the great sun mediated between the Creator and the people, between the sun and the earth. This is Cahokia, city of the sun. The great sun ruled the thriving center of a vast Mississippian culture. Outside the walled city, communities of farmers, hunters, and fishermen stretched for miles, surrounded by fields of corn. With 20,000 residents, no city in the United States would surpass Cahokia's historic size before 1800. Only then would Philadelphia's population eclipse the ancient center.
These people lived in daub and wattle houses on top of the principal people did, the priest and the royalty. They lived in very substantial houses, not teepees. Not teepees. Teepees, Western Plains people. Down here they lived in houses. They were sedentary, they were farmers, they used the rivers and the bayous and the streams as not only for commerce, but for sustenance as well.
With the Mississippi and other major rivers as its highways, Cahokia was linked by trade to 1/3 of the continent. Copper arrived from the Great Lakes, obsidian from Yellowstone, mica and crystal from the Appalachians, gold and silver from Canada, shell from the Gulf of Mexico.
Look at these old live oak trees that have seen so much pass by them. Magnificently dressed Indian people coming down that bayou in a dugout, greeting people, standing right here on this bank, of having a good time, because they did. You know, Indian people have always known how to have a good time. And there would be a feast prepared. The women would put the corn together. They'd make sofki. They would roast a deer. The people would bring gifts. You never go to an Indian's house without bringing something that's as old as the sunrise.
Shalom, brothers. Back again. And the topic of this lesson is called "The Lord Came to the Tribes in a Miracle." Alright, because I did a lesson on this dealing with what the Israelites called Quetzalcoatl, like a year back, but I found more information. The Lord led me to more information, so I'm going to bring it out. So let's go to a couple of scriptures. Let's go to the book of John, chapter 10, and verse 16. Of course, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the elders, Great Millstone. Alright, and honors to the elect, pushing the truth. Alright, so this is John 10 and 16. It says, and this is Yahweh Shai speaking, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Now, notice in the precept, he quotes Ezekiel 37 and 22. Now, when you go to Ezekiel, alright, Ezekiel 37 is all talking about Israel. But I'm going to start at 15. Ezekiel 37:15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel his companions, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. Now the word stick there in the Hebrew means a plank or a piece of wood. Like when you see the brothers on the highways, they have the 12 tribes sign. That's a sign, that's a stick. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Power, Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with them, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand, and the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord Power, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king to them all, and there shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. So that scripture in John 10:16, it tells you about there shall be one fold, the other sheep, which is the kingdom of the northern kingdom of Ephraim. All right, because they're divided, right? Let's go to the history for 1 second. Let's go to 2 Kings 17 and 6, and it says, In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria, right? Samaria was the northern kingdom, and carried away Israel, meaning the northern kingdom, away into Assyria, and placed them in Halah and in Habor by the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. So remember, Judah wasn't touched, because in the book of Isaiah, the Assyrians came, and I forget which king it was. I believe it was Hezekiah. He said he prayed to the Most High, and the Most High sent an angel, and he smote, I think, 120,000 Assyrians, and they never came to take over Judah. But after that, the Babylonians came, but that wasn't until like 100 plus years later. So the northern kingdom, they were already gone. They were already in captivity, and then they came to the Americas. For all you niggas talking about the land tribes and the Native Americans are not Israelites, they're Israelites. All right, we're gonna prove that. Go to 2nd Ezra 13, because they hate the scripture, man. It's like they don't tackle the scripture. 2nd Ezra 13 verse 40, it says, Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land, which we read, right? 2 Kings 17. But they took, right, so now they're in their own land. So the nation's already divided, and the nation's really been divided since Rehoboam and Jeroboam, right? But they took this counsel amongst themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. Now, common sense tells you the eastern hemisphere is, people dwell there. The only land mass that isn't being dwelt is what? The western hemisphere, which is north, central, south, and surrounding islands. Alright, common sense. Like, this guy came up last week on the highways talking about, that's what I told him about no one dwelt in the Americas in 721 BC. He said, "Oh, I'm gonna have to go research that." What do you mean you're gonna have to go research that, man? That's common sense, man. So that they might there keep their statues which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of 1.5 years. And the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. Right? Come to the truth, come to the knowledge, come back to the nationality. And that's starting with the elect. We always have to push that. Alright? So, without further ado, let's get into the lesson. So I have a couple articles. Let me just open a couple of them. Alright. So this is from Wikipedia. Right? Titled Quetzalcoatl. This is what the Israelites called him when he came. Alright. So we're going to read this right here. It says Quetzalcoatl Nahuatl. Alright, that's their language. Nahuatl is a Mesoamerican deity whose name comes from the Nahuatl language and has the meaning of feathered serpent, right? Because the word Quetzal means feathered. Right here. Quetzal means feathered, and Quatl means serpent. Alright. It says feathered serpent deity is feathered serpent. The worship of a feathered serpent deity is first documented in Teotihuacan in the 1st century BC or 1st century AD, which is right when the Lord came on the scene. 2930 BC, AD, and he was crucified around that time too, in the 1st century AD, basically. So after he got crucified, he spent 40 days with the disciples, and then he left. That's when he came to the Americas, man. So that fits perfectly with the timeline. Alright. It says the worship of the feathered serpent deity is first documented in Teotihuacan in the 1st century BC or 1st century AD. Okay, that period lies within the late pre-classic to early classic period, 400 BC, 600 AD, of Mesoamerican chronology, and veneration of the figure appears to have spread throughout Mesoamerica by the late classic 600 to 900 AD. Alright? Because he came through, he didn't just come to Issachar, obviously, but the most information that's on the Lord coming to the Americas is from Issachar, it's from documented from Issachar. It says, to the Aztecs, Quetzalcoatl was, as his name indicates, a feathered serpent, a flying reptile, much like a dragon, who was a boundary maker and transgressor between earth and sky. Right? Because the serpent to the